What monks is equanimity more spiritual than the spiritual? When a monk whose asavas are destroyed reviews his mind, liberated from lust, liberated by hatred, liberated from delusion, there arises equanimity. This is called equanimity more spiritual than the spiritual. So probably, going back to the example I gave just now, that probably the Arahant, after he becomes liberated, and then when he reviews his struggle, how he became liberated, first there is delight that he has succeeded, and after that there is happiness. Then after later, then his mind becomes equanimous. And what monks is carnal release, vimokkha. Release connected with the form sphere is carnal release. It probably means attainment of the rupa jhana. And what monks is spiritual release. Release connected with the formless sphere is spiritual release. Probably means the arupa jhanas. And what monks is release more spiritual than the spiritual? When a monk whose asavas are destroyed reviews his mind, liberated from lust, from hatred, from delusion, there arises release. This is called release more spiritual than the spiritual. That's the end of the sutta. I think I can stop here tonight. Just finish the Vedana Samyutta.
Just now the the indication that when the person attains first jhana, speech cease, and second jhana stops and examination cease.
Yeah.
I think like very more. What does it mean like speech as cease and
when a person attains the first jhana, his mind is absorbed on the object of his meditation. He has this thought directed and sustained. Thought directed and sustained means, for example, he's meditating on the breath, anapanasati. So when he's putting his mindfulness on the breath, whenever his mind runs away, he directs it back to the breath. That is called thought directed, vitaka. And then vichara is sustaining the attention on the breath, keeping it there. That is vichara. So if he continues like this, then the other factors arise. Piti, sukha, and ekagata arise. Then he has entered the first jhana. So his mind is absorbed in the object of meditation. So he cannot speak. You see, for you to speak, you have to think first. You have to think. But in that state of the first jhana, he cannot think. His mind is already absorbed in the object of meditation. He cannot simply think to talk. So he cannot speak. Okay? So in the second jhana, it says the thought directed and sustained ceases. Now, after a monk attains the first jhana, he has to constantly abide in that jhana until he is quite proficient in that jhana. Okay? Then later, when he wants to enter the second jhana, instead of putting his attention on the breath, because now it's become after much practice, he has become quite steady in the first jhana. So after he's got some confidence in the first jhana, he can stay longer in the first jhana. Then he turns his attention from the breath to the piti and sukha. So when he turns his attention to piti and sukha, that is provided piti and sukha are strong enough. So then his mind absorbs into piti and sukha and he's forgotten about the breath. So when he has forgotten about the breath, then he enters the second jhana. He's no more concerned with the breath. So that paying attention on the breath is that vitaka and vichara. So when he enters the second jhana, there is no more vitaka and vichara. He has released, let go of the vitaka and vichara, and his mind is absorbed on piti and sukha. And then only he enters the second jhana. Okay?
We've been talking about jhana and we talk about first, second, third, fourth. Then most are integrated with the fourth jhana. And then Buddha, he wanted to mention that there are more. After all that, there are still more of the other jhana. So it is actually targeting at the fourth jhana for the integration. Or further than that, is more of just better form of happiness.
The Buddha says that perfect samadhi, samma samadhi, in the Noble Eightfold Path is the four jhanas. If you have attained the four jhanas, it's mentioned in some sutta that everything becomes very clear to you. The mind becomes so clear because it's rid of all the defilements. And also you notice in the definition of the fourth jhana, there is complete purity of sati and equanimity. The mind is very equanimous, not disturbed at all. Then when the person comes out of the fourth jhana, the mind is so clear that whatever he contemplates, he can understand very well. So like for example, on the night of the Buddha's enlightenment, he entered the four jhanas. And then he came out of the fourth jhana, and then he contemplated his past life. Because the mind was so sharp, so strong, he could easily recall the past life. So the four jhanas are enough for a person to have psychic power. So the higher than the fourth jhana, the rupa jhanas, the mind opens up to boundless space, boundless consciousness and all that. And those are bonus issues. Not necessary. If you can get that, even better.
Somebody mentioned that the highest jhana, which is the non-perception, is actually the paripurana stage.
Normally the Buddha talks about the four jhanas and the four arupa jhanas. The highest arupa jhana is the state of neither perception nor non-perception, where the mind is like a candlelight, which is almost about to blow off. Sometimes it seems that there is light, sometimes like there's no light. So the consciousness is waning. The consciousness is about to go off. So sometimes there is perception, sometimes there is no perception. That's why it says neither perception nor non-perception. That is a very high state where the mind is almost going to stop already. Then after that is a cessation of perception and feeling. That is not included under the arupa jhana, but it can be considered as a kind of concentration. The topmost, the highest, where the mind consciousness just stops. When perception and feeling stops, then consciousness stops, and all the rest. feeling, perception, volition, thinking, everything stops.
And the first difference between neutral feeling and quality.
Never thought of that before.
The three kinds of feelings are some say the neither pain nor pleasant feeling. That is neutral feeling. And the description of happiness in the fourth jhana, it says same thing, neither painful nor pleasant, and also equanimity. And the equanimity.
Here, Ananda, with the abandoning of pleasure and pain, is this pleasure and pain is body pleasure and pain, And then with the previous passing away of joy and displeasure, this is mental pleasure and pain, Monk enters and dwells in the fourth jhana, which is neither painful nor pleasant, and includes the purification of mind. So from here it appears like equanimity is similar to the state of neither painful nor pleasant feeling. But this, for people in their normal consciousness, normal state of consciousness, we may experience this neither painful nor pleasant feeling, that means this equanimous feeling for a short while, and then it will be quickly succeeded by other feelings, because our feelings are changing so fast. I remember the simile given by the Buddha is that like the raindrops falling on the pond. As soon as one drop of rain falls on the surface of the pond, a bubble arises and then it bursts. And then another drop falls and then a bubble arises and it bursts. So when it rains, there's a lot of raindrops. So the feelings arise and pass away like the many bubbles arise and pass away. But in the fourth jhana is different. In the fourth jhana, the mental happiness and suffering has stopped. The bodily happiness and pain also has stopped. So he's completely equanimous for as long as he remains in the fourth jhana. If he stays in that fourth jhana 24 hours, then for 24 hours, he only experiences this equanimity, neither painful nor pleasant. That's why it's called utter purification of sati and equanimity. I think this translation is wrong. Purification of mindfulness by equanimity. Is a complete purification of sati and equanimity.
The first one is with ignorance. The second one without ignorance.
Which one?
The painful, neither painful nor pleasant feeling. And another one is the equanimity.
Are you talking about the fourth jhana or not?
I'm talking about the feeling.
That one is the neither painful
nor pleasant feeling and equanimity. One is with ignorance, one is without ignorance.
What page?
The question of that